to all the tyre recycling enthusiasts. But before we dive into our exciting content that we have lined up for you, we have a special request. Did you know that only 12% of our incredible audience is subscribed to our channel? We were surprised too. So we have a big, bold goal. We want to raise that number to a whopping 50%, and that's where you come in. If you're a regular viewer of our engaging videos, thought-provoking conferences, or informative podcasts, we kindly ask you for your support. Now, how can you help? Just simply clicking on the subscribe button below can make all the difference. With each new subscriber, we can enhance the quality of our content even further. All right, now's time to jump into the heart of today's episode, where we have yet another exciting interview lined up for you. So grab a cup of your favorite beverage, sit back and get ready for an enlightening journey through innovative solutions, environmental impacts, and the latest advancements in tyre recycling. Hello there, and welcome to a special episode of the Tyre Recycling Podcast. It's special because we've reached episode 50 now in our series. Ewan, how are you doing? And could you give our viewers and listeners a brief lowdown on what we have in store for today's episode?
Thanks, Richard. I'm fitting well and looking forward to this interview with Federico Dossena from Ecopneus. This came about as the result of a comment I'd made about microplastics and the industry not lobbying strongly enough. And Ecopneus contacted us and said, look, we'd like to have a talk about this. So that's what this is about, the imminent ban on microplastics.
Fantastic. Well, obviously we have done some episodes on the imminent ban for microplastics. So it's good to return to that subject with a different, with a different body, with comments from a different body within Europe. So let's start that interview with Federico Dossena from Ecopneus right now.
So the position, as I understand it, is that the ECHA RAC put their proposal to the European Commission, and they passed a proposal for consultation, and that there is a 3-month consultation period before it goes back to the European Commission for a final vote. Is that a correct assessment of the situation?
Yeah, it is. And our understanding is that there is a quite wide consensus among the state members, representative, to go along with such a kind of change of the European, I cannot find the word, sorry, regolamento.
Yeah, the regulations,
yeah. Regulation, sorry, yeah, so. And therefore, the 90 days in front of us, plus the 2 votes rounds, will be absolutely in favor of the confirmation of the current proposal.
Okay, so what impact will that have on the recycling industry?
Of course, our focus is mostly reflecting the Italian recycling industry aspects and position. Such kind of restriction will impact severely on the supply chain, the Italian supply chain of the recycling of the end-of-life tires, because the Italian market of the secondary raw material, I mean the vulcanized rubber coming as secondary raw material from the end-of-life tires, is mostly based on the infill for the synthetic turfs, which means that out of the overall mass of material recovered, the main market is represented by such kind of infill. going into the direction to vanish or to cancel such kind of market, the Italian value chain will be quite severely impacted, because for the time being we don't have as an alternative volume consuming solution capable to absorb this kind of or this quantity mostly. And therefore we have of course watching, we have to start working and watching at the possible alternatives in order to substitute the outcome for this large volume of material.
Okay, so looking for alternate markets, the two obvious markets that come to mind are rubberized asphalt and pyrolysis. Now, I know that Italy has had some experience using rubberized asphalt, but it tends to be, from my understanding, again, short stretches, test roads, and no major projects using rubberized asphalt. Is that a direction that you would push to see development?
Yeah, you're right. The vast majority of the rubberized asphalts which were posed in Italy were direct consequences of study or experiences promoted by Ecopneus itself. And therefore now we can assess firmly that the technology is there, and the competencies are there, and the only bit which is missing is the stimulus to go into the direction to solidly adapt such kind of rubberized asphalt, particularly I would say in the urban environment, where the noise limits are set even by law, and therefore this kind of rubberized asphalt can contribute positively in reaching this challenging limit. Therefore, our effort is now addressed to persuade our administrators and the public authority that is now the moment to step in action and acting even more firmly in order to support the adoption of this kind of rubberized asphalts. And therefore, our activity is now to start immediately a dialogue with the public authority in order to promote and to obtain some legal support which is going to address the public administration, I mean the town administrator, in the direction to choose with the firm choices such kind of solutions.
Yeah, because I know that in Italy you have a stronger, greener purchasing policy with reference to retread tires. So something similar when local authorities were building roads, driving them to use rubberized asphalt to encourage and stimulate that sector would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Now the other, I'm obviously picking up news items from different people, different areas, but I understand that some sectors of the pyrolysis market are interested in what is happening because they see it as an opportunity for them to access a pre-prepared feedstock. So rather than having to bring in tires and shred them and granulate them and process them, they can buy in the pre-processed tires so that they don't have to do any of the pre-production work on the tires for the pyrolysis project. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there are any tire pyrolysis projects operating in Italy.
Yeah, You're right. The pyrolysis or the thermolysis or chemical recycling opportunities, according to the various technologies which are available today, in Italy have never took place since the appearance in the market of this kind of technologies, because they were somehow evaluated as the equivalent as burning material, of course, mistakenly in this respect. Today, the plastic sector started to make some pilot plants, and they have been evaluated positively. And of course, this is something that we can also utilize this positivity in terms of results, and it's definitely the second line of engagement we have, and we started also quite concrete, positive conversation with the public authorities and with the public administration in order to get the opportunity to install quite significant plants. Apparently, they might also process a huge amount of end-of-life tires volumes already prepared, as you said. So this will also impact on the collection and selection and segregation system. So in a way, there is a sort of parallelism with the experience I had in the paper industry, when at the beginning a sort of homogeneous amount of grades were required in order to obtain given paper grades. I mean, all the copy papers at one side, all the newsprint paper at one side, and similarly, we are starting to foresee that a proper segregation, either by type of tires, trucks versus cars, or even more in details, a segregation made out by brands might happen in order to provide to the chemical recycling plant a given and controlled feedstock capable to ensure the result, the end out, the throughput and the output in a controlled way, and according to the technical specification that the potential customer might require. So it's for sure a moment which set a quite significant transition in the way of collecting and making the granulation of tires versus the experience we had in the past in 10 years.
It's interesting to see technological developments being accepted by the tire industry. For example, REGOM's artificial intelligence being used to identify tires and separate tires, and that been taken on board in particular by Michelin and Aliapur. I believe that SDAB in Sweden are looking at the system for their recycling plant, which to me, as an observer, suggests that the tire industry wants its own tires back. So Michelin want Michelin, Continental want Continental. So it's interesting to see that happening. Now, we know that there are currently no full-size pyrolysis plants, tire pyrolysis plants in Italy, but you do have a carbon black plant from Burla Carbon. And interestingly, Burla Carbon is partnering with Circtec in the Netherlands, who still have to get their first plant up and running, but they have plans to come to Italy with a pyrolysis plant as well. So perhaps the market in Italy is going to change favorably for the industry.
Yeah, I agree, because also the interlocution we had with few players coming from abroad who have been showing quite a large interest in coming and setting up a plant. Of course, watching at the volume of the material they might get into as a feedstock. And as you said, very luckily there will be the need to go into the direction to segregate according by brand, because of course every producer knows very well the composition of the product they have put onto the market, and therefore it will be quite interesting for them to get back the same monomers and polymers coming from their own material. So very luckily we might see the recycling plant a sort of like a biscuit plant. I'm making this equivalence. So 1 week working, processing the producer A, and then all the output goes back into the producing plant. Second week, producer B, and so on and so forth. So this might be a potential development that we can start identifying by the discussion we have with these guys who are watching at the Italian market as a potential where to install the pyrolysis plants.
Okay, coming back to the crumb rubber, the microplastics issue, I pick up from the industry that the feeling is that if this legislation goes through, even with an 8-year introductory period, as soon as the legislation goes through, the industry will stop, because no local authority is going to allow the investment. No football club is going to invest in setting up an artificial turf field with crumb rubber infill if they've only got 8 years to use it. So in the interim, before the pyrolysis comes online, before the rubberized asphalt market is developed, what happens to the crumb rubber? Does this mean that Italy will be joining the UK in exporting crumb rubber to India?
No, I have a different feeling. I believe that, first of all, there are still several fields to be installed, which are the tail of the past orders and that have been placed already. So there will be a period of continuous producing of granulates, also because the Italian quality has been assessed among the best one in terms of physical product. Secondly, it's true that the local authority might have some doubts, but it's also true that they have to confront themselves with the costs. Today, the cost of a field made with synthetic turf is still cheaper compared to the natural ones, and even the maintenance costs are cheaper. So we might have a transition period, which might cover this interim between now and the plant of pyrolysis, and for sure will overlap, because I'm in the conviction that the asphalt rubber will be quicker adopted rather than anyone is expecting. And therefore, I am quite optimistic in the opportunity for the companies to have, with the support, of course, of a subject like Ecopneus, who is working on keeping up and running the overall chain. And therefore, we can expect a sort of progressive decline of the crumb tires for the synthetic turf, but at the same time, the lifting of the demand for the powder to be put into the roads, and maybe sooner than expected, even the possibility to have a pyrolysis plant up and running compared to the less optimistic people who base this negative expectation on the past experience. I mean, I am in the conviction that today, particularly in Italy, the overall acceptance of new technologies, and therefore with all the implication, meaning new jobs, a qualified professional people required into such kind of complex plants. So all these factors altogether will push for the implementation of pyrolysis plant sooner than expected.
Good. I think that'll be good news to a number of people in the industry. Many years ago, I spoke to Curti Energy, who were looking at pyrolysis, and they told me they ran into a brick wall. They just couldn't get anywhere. But the Italian energy company INI, they had gone to Curti and said, look, yeah, we are interested, but we need to build a plant that would process 50,000 tons of tires. At the time, that was not a possibility. But now, if we look at what's happening in Scandinavia and in Germany, in Spain and in France, we can see that these large-scale plants are becoming possible. So Italy may go from having nothing to having a large-scale plant very quickly, which would be huge.
Exactly. This is the type of feeling we are having when discussing with the minister and the environmental minister people. So they have understood that these are opportunities that the Italian industry cannot left and leaving everything in the hands of other countries. So it's something that the focus and the attention of many stakeholders is now converging, and very luckily will become a reality. That's the reason why I'm optimistic in saying sooner than expected, sooner than in the past. So a certain doubts and resistances are now over, and therefore it's a matter of implementing an industrial process. And of course, the support of Ecopneus is also in order to support this kind of new technology, as of course we need to have a large consumer of end-of-life tires that we might repatriate from what we are actually exporting for the energy recovery. And in parallel, of course, we are also supporting many other kind of application, particularly all the end products which are coming from the what we call the tire plus, so the mix of rubber and plastic, in order to get new materials which might be used in many industrial sectors. So we are opening many opportunities and many other type of outlet for the rubber, vulcanized recycled rubber.
Okay, so it's almost as if the end or the imminent end of crumb rubber infill is opening up opportunities in other areas like rubberized asphalt and pyrolysis. It's a case of one door closing and another one opening. So perhaps things aren't quite as bleak as they appear to be.
Yeah, and also we don't have to forget that after a given period of analysis and studies that we might continue in order to measure the real dispersion of fields duly equipped with the risk management measures, we might go back to the Commission in 2, 3, 4 years' time and submit them the opportunity to revise this regulation, because, of course, the data that today are not available. Don't forget that today we are very frustrated because the decision has been taken simply based on assumptions. So not taking into account a wide range of scientific studies, as there are only few, but we have in front of us a time lapse in order to accumulate, to create a number of studies which might demonstrate our thesis, and therefore knocking the door again in a given number of years and asking for reconsidering such kind of part of the regulation, I mean, related to the synthetic turf. So nevertheless, of course, the main impact today is, okay, guys, we have to start immediately thinking something different and working hard in order to get these things done.
Yeah, it's there have been a number of studies done certainly in Sweden, Denmark, Spain,
Yeah,
that I'm aware of, that have shown that the losses are nowhere near as high as what was predicted. It's a matter of tens of kilograms rather than tons of kilograms. Excuse me. So, but I think the infill people did themselves an injustice when they themselves were quoting a replacement rate of 2.5 tons per year, which of course is nowhere near what is way over what is actually needed. If the football fields are properly managed, properly contained. So there may be hope in the future.
Well, there are hopes also because today we know that in terms of performances, there are no alternatives. So we might discuss about the ecological impact of a natural turf, a natural filling, but in terms of performances, elasticity is a different world, is a completely, they are not comparable. Therefore, the opportunity to get back to their position is quite significant. So let's see.
Okay, this has been a most enlightening discussion, and I need to draw it to a close.
So there you have it. And now we're back after our interview with Federico Dossena. Ewan, what do you think about Federico's answers and his points he put across in your discussion with him?
Well, I have to say that didn't quite go the way I was expecting it to go, because there was an admission that the direction that Europe is heading is a ban on microplastics, and that Ecopneus appear to have accepted that this is what is going to happen. However, they have put a little bit of a positive spin on it, because it gives the impetus to the industry and government in Italy to find other solutions rather than just export. So we're expecting to see some government intervention on the use of rubberised asphalt that would improve the use of that material, and also it opens the doors to pyrolysis plants in Italy. There are currently no tyre pyrolysis plants in Italy, and there has been in the past a lot of resistance to waste pyrolysis. but as Federico says, the plastic sector have managed to get things rolling with a pyrolysis project. And he is now talking to a number of pyrolysis people with a view to setting up plants in Italy. And where that market has changed is, in the past, we were always talking about pilot plants. And today, they're now talking about sort of plugging in ready to go upscale plants. So, for example, and I'm not saying that Pyrum are involved in these discussions, but Pyrum have a model for a 20,000 ton per year plant. They know it works. That could simply be plugged into the Italian system now. Other companies, Circtec, who are building their big plant in the Netherlands, they also have plans to put something in Italy. So the market could change dramatically. One door closes, another one opens. But interestingly, Federico suggested that research into the retention of crumb rubber in artificial pitches would continue, and that if the industry could show that losses were minimal or could be contained, and present the empirical evidence that that was the case, that they might go back to the European Commission at a later date, looking for a revision on the ban on crumb rubber infill.
Interesting. Okay. That is quite the admission from Federico, and it will be, we'll have to wait and see how other European bodies react to this moving forward. I'm sure people are already discussing how we can resolve this issue and make use of that, what will be excess capacity, I suppose, of tires in the future. Okay, Ewan, thank you for that interview today with Federico. We'll be back very shortly with episode 51.